Hello, guys. So I'm Dr. Jignesh Chauhan, and I'm starting a medical lecture series. I'm not a professor, though. I'm an homeopath, and as you know, in every medical profession, or like for medical students, like it's really necessary to update your medical knowledge or revise your medical knowledge. And like for me, it's the same as might be for you too. And I was thinking to go from the basic physiology, because if you need to understand the pathology or the medical conditions of the human being, so we need to understand the normal physiology. So after, if we got a grasp of the normal physiology, then we can better understand the abnormal physiology as well. So we will start with the cell. So what I am trying to do is, like, I try to go from different kinds of book for just a cell section, like from the basic. So like different kinds of book like Guyton and Hall, or like Baron Physiology, Essential Cell Physiology. So for every chapters what we'll study, so I will revise and get all the information from different books that is possible, and then I will do the most important things from the book, and then I will read for myself, and also I will explain to you as well. I will try my best to explain to you as well. I hope you understand what I say or what I try to explain. And if there is any question, you can just let me know in the comments below. So first we'll start with the cell, and before starting with the cell, so we'll just go through the basics of, so we are not like doing like this is the cell and like that's the cell membrane or the organelles or anything like that, but we'll study first the basic of the physiology that is necessary to understand the cell, and then the other systems of for the physiology. So as you know, all living things or organisms are built from cell. And what is cell if you try to define it? So it's a small membrane enclosed unit filled with an extraordinary ability to create copies of themselves by growing and then dividing into two. So this is just an example. If you just picturize a cell, I just put the picture for you. So by seeing the picture and by knowing a bit of them, so you can just define a cell like it's a small membrane enclosed unit filled with extraordinary ability to create copies of themselves by growing and then dividing in two. The simplest form of life are the solitary cells, and like as you go higher organisms, like for us in the humans as well, the organisms are built from the communities of cells derived by growth and from a single donor cell. So cells therefore are the fundamental unit of life that we know. That's the most important thing. That's a fundamental unit of life. So there are unity and diversity of cells. So like cell biologists say that there are like 100 million species of living things on the planet. So like if there is 100 million living things on this planet, so there might be 100 million different species of cell. So, and there are like different size, shape, and chemical requirements. Like for example, if we see the size, so the smallest size you can say, for example, is the lactobacillus, a piece of a cheese. That's a bacteria, and like that bacteria is just a few micrometer in length. So that's the smallest, like that's about 25 times smaller than the width of a human hair. A frog egg is also a solitary cell, but it's just about 1 millimeter. So cell varies in different sizes as well, and like with that there varies in different shapes. Like if you see an example of human brain nerve cell, so the nerve cell is enormously extended. It sends out signal along a fine protrusion that is 10,000 times longer than it is thick, and it receives signals from the other nerve cells through a master of shorter processes that sprout from its body like the branches of a tree. So like as you see in this picture, so that's a long part that carries the signal to the other part, and like there is the shorter process as well. So this is one kind of a shape of a cell, but there are different kinds too. And cells are also enormously diverse in the chemical requirements. So this differences in size, shape, and chemical requirements often reflects differences in cell functions. Like some cells are specialized factories for the production of particular substances such as hormones, starch, fat, latex, pigments. Others are like engines, like muscle cells. If you see that burn fuel due to mechanical works, like in the electric eel, the fish that uses they generate electricity generators. Uh, like in multicellular organisms, however, there is a division of labor among the cells, like allowing some cells to specialize to an extreme degree for a particular task and leaving them dependent on their fellow cells for many basic requirements. So that was just the basic of size, shape, and chemical requirements. And as you know, in all organisms, genetic information in the form of genes is carried in DNA molecules. We'll study all this in details, but we are just going through the basics of all this, like what are cells, what are the things that are required in the cells or that are in the cells. This information, the DNA information, that the genetic information, is written in the same chemical code, constructed by the same chemical building blocks, interpreted by essentially the same chemical machinery, and replicated in the same way when an organism reproduces. So, thus, in every cell, the long DNA polymer chains are made from the same set of four monomers that are called nucleotides, strung together in different sequences like the letters of an alphabet to convey information. So, in every cell, the information encoded in the DNA is read out and then transcribed into a chemically related set of polymers called RNA. So, from DNA, that the information is read out and transcribed into the form of another polymer that is called RNA. And the subset of this RNA molecule is then translated into yet another type of polymer that is called a protein. So the flow of information is from DNA to RNA to protein. Proteins are built from amino acids, if you know. Proteins are built from amino acids, and all organisms use the same set of 20 amino acids to make their proteins. So, like, but the amino acids are linked in different. So, like, when it's the proteins are made from just 20 amino acids, so but the amino acids are linked in different sequences, giving each type of protein molecule a different three-dimensional shape or conformation, just as different sequences of letters spell different words. So like there are 26 alphabet and it gives so many words. So that's the same as for proteins, like it's built from 20 amino acids, but like the linking of the 20 amino acids in different ways give three-dimensional shape to the proteins, and then that's different between the all types of proteins. Genes provide the instruction for, like, when you think about the gene, so that provides the instruction for cell form, function, and complex behavior. A cell genome, that is the entire sequence of nucleotides in an organism's DNA, provides a genetic program that instructs the cell how to behave. Different cells expresses different genes. That is, they use their genes to produce some proteins and not others, depending on their internal state and on the cues that they have and their ancestor cells have received from their surroundings, mainly signals from the other cells in the program. In the organism. So the DNA therefore is not just a shopping list. The DNA is not a shopping list that it specifies the molecules that every cell must make, or a cell is just not an assembly of all the items on the list. But each cell is capable of carrying out a variety of biological tasks. Depending on its environment and its history, it selectively uses the information encoded in its DNA to guide its activities. So that's the part of a DNA. Also, you have heard about like a prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell. So, like for example, a bacterium containing essentially no organelles, not even a nucleus to hold its DNA. This property, the presence or the absence of a nucleus, is used as a basis for simple but fundamental classification of all living things. Organisms whose cells have a nucleus are called eukaryotes, whose cells have a nucleus, but the organisms whose cells do not have a nucleus are called prokaryotes. So these are the difference. The term bacterium and the prokaryote are often used interchangeably, although we will see that the category of prokaryotes also include another class of cells that are called archaea. So for prokaryotes, like that's bacteria, it's typically like a spherical, rod-like, or the corkscrew shaped. They are in different shape. They are small, generally a few micrometers long, although there are some giant species as much as 100 times longer than this. So this that was the prokaryotes. Eukaryotic cells in general are bigger and more elaborate than bacteria. Some live independent lives as a single-celled organism, such as amoeba and yeast. Other lives are multicellular assemblies. So by definition, all eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. But possession of a nucleus goes hand in hand with the possession of variety of other organelles. So like with the nucleus, there is like other organelles as well, most of which are membrane enclosed and common to all the eukaryotic organism. Okay, so that was just a simple and the basic understanding of the cell we discussed. Now for the next thing, uh, we will discuss about the chemistry, the basic chemistry. Because to understand the cell, the physiology, we have to understand the basic chemistry as well. So in the next video, we'll just try to understand the basic chemistry and then we'll go on. All right, thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe to our channel. So I will go through the cell, the physiology, and during the physiology, we will also go through the abnormal physiology, that is the disease as well. All right, thank you.